So we've established that doing a plyometric box jump would be the highest metabolic effect. And that'd be jumping up, jumping down, spending very little time between jumps, not stepping down and going. So if our goal is to get a high metabolic effect on a box jump, why would we maybe not want to make the box jump stacked up 6 plates high?
Because it would take longer to get up there.
So what would happen to my graph now if I was doing box jumps and it took longer to get happen? What would this spike guy start to look like?
The intensity would be as high.
You might get a little bit more, it takes more power, it's more strength, but then obviously they're stepping down, so you start getting this. Now, is there a time and place for high box jumps? Absolutely. That's a great way to build power and development, and there's a thing for it. But also, if we're in a metabolic effect, especially let's say this workout today, where we got jump ropes, things like that, we may not want our max height box jump because we're pushing it, we're fatigued, we've been at such a high intensity. I would rather have a bigger roll and then have them do that max height box jump here. Or, depending on the goal of the athlete, I would rather have them do that max height box jump with plyometrics, but that might be standalone because I want the technique there and I want to keep it safe. Because if your client eats shit over that box, we all know it's not a fun thing to deal with, right? Okay, so we're making good progress on that like this. So, now, here's where things are going to get interesting. How long should a rest period be for an interval?
Or high intensity?
High intensity. You should say for fat loss, we'll keep it like that. 80% of our clients' goal is fat loss.
No more than a minute to 3 minutes.
Okay? What do you think, Mandy?
Interval training?
Interval training. What's an ideal rest period?
Probably like 30 seconds to a minute.
What?
30 seconds.
Yeah, so what you guys are missing is the question of how high is the interval? If the interval is 30 seconds, and we've established that we want this peak to this valley, the interval is relative to how high the heart rate went. In a perfect world, if we had everyone on heart rate monitors, the interval would be based on the heart rate. So let's say we got into that max peak. If they got it to 175, the interval rest period wouldn't be done until they reached whatever the baseline was we started at. So this is different for everyone. So right now, if I took John and had him do 10 box jumps, super high intensity, the box jumps themselves will say, probably take what, 20 seconds to do those 10 box jumps? Well, how long do you think it would take you to get your heart rate back down from those?
20 to 30 seconds.
Good. So the answer was correct. It took about 20 seconds to do it, about 30 seconds to recover. Let's say we take Nancy tonight. Make Nancy do box jumps. How long is it going to take her to do those 10 box jumps?
Like a minute.
How long do you think it's going to take for her to get her heart rate down?
Well, 1 or 2. Probably about minutes, 3 minutes.
Okay. So this is where it becomes relative, and this is where it becomes very tough as group trainers to diagnose and say, hey, here's what's going on. Now here's the beauty of it. Most people, intervals kick in automatically. Someone can't do 10 pull-ups. How do they pull up when they're first coming? What are their pull-ups when they're what's a rep or a set look like? How many do they normally do on their first attempt? They'll get up there, it's their first day, they get there, they do 4 or 5, and then guess what? They stop and they rest. Now I'm not talking about strength, we'll get into that later. So they do 5 or 6 pull-ups, they stop, and guess what? They do 5 or 6 more, and they come off the band. And what do? They get a sip of water, and they walk over to their push-ups, and they do their push-ups, and they do 5 push-ups. And you know what? When they first start off, that's why everyone people in the room's like, oh my God, it's so hard when I first started, I lost so much weight, because they were doing amazing intervals. The problem we start running into is as our people get conditioned, they get trained, they start thinking that this is one giant interval. Now there's days, and I'll let you guys know this, I program for endurance. There's days that I program more to be in that phosphagen system where I want a minute to 2 minutes to 3 minutes, and there's longer workouts. But for the most part, these intervals should be built in. The problem we run into is, to get that interval, we just established there's different intensities on different things. So some people, let's say we're doing a slam ball, and we're trying to get a metabolic effect, again, they think that the way to intensify it is to grab a heavier slam ball. But you can already establish, we've already established that heavier and higher is not the better thing. So, if someone came in today and wanted to stack 30 plates in that box for this workout, what would you tell them why not to do that?
Because they're trying to do it no more than 5 times before they got stopped.
It's not even that, they're like, no, I'll get 10, it'll just take me a little bit longer.
The intensity is just kind of become flat because it's
Okay.
gathering them.
So what you guys need to understand is we need to be able to explain to the clients why we're doing things. And this is where I've slacked as a coach as far as training you guys, is in this workout, the goal is to get a metabolic effect. I want you to burn fat. And to do that, I want you to get that peak as high as possible, and then I want you to stop. I want the rest period during the exercise reduce and increase turn. Again, if you notice, these are all kind of set up to where they're kind of spread out too. I didn't do that on purpose, and to be honest, but it kind of works out that way. To where they're not going to, most people aren't going to run from ab rockers to box jumps. Most people aren't going to run from the box jumps to the jump rope. They're going to come outside. There's a built-in rest interval in there. So even though this might seem like a 30-minute workout, it's 30 minutes of intensity, high intensity intervals. So let's come back to this now. Let's say our workout is deadlift, lat, 5 rounds. What's the high intensity, what's the low intensity?
Well, it depends on the weight too.
That's the answer right there. So, the deadlift is done at 85% of your max. Not to say someone should go slow on the lap, but that lap is probably going to be our recovery right now. It's strictly speed metabolic. We're not going into rest periods and lifting right now. So, that deadlift's 85% of your max. The lap, while we want to encourage a fast pace, regardless of how fast you're going, that will not be as intense as this. Now, switch it around. Because deadlift is done at, say, 50% of the max. What do you think my focus should be on? As a coach, what kind of things should I hear as you're coaching this class? When they come to that lap. Exactly. So, one thing we need to be very careful about, and this is something I kind of thought about this weekend as I got pushed through a circuit a little bit, is there's words we use to coach that can sometimes create a negative effect. If we're doing a circuit training class, and we keep saying, push, 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 a couple things might happen. A, you might push this up higher than you want to. Or B, people start giving you shitty reps, crummy reps. We see it all the time. We're yelling at someone to push, and instead of giving me good quality push-ups chest to the floor, you're going to see it where it starts getting sloppy. Sloppy push-up, just like a sloppy box jump, isn't going to create the metabolic effect we want. So, I want you guys to think about that when you start looking at the program. And I'm going to help you a little bit clearer on when I write the programs up. I want you guys to start looking at them. I'm going to start using a different software too, where you can see what the emphasis is on it. So look back at some of the old programs too. Go ahead, Illusion. Alright. Look back at some of the old programs too, and see if you see this. These are things that I didn't really ever think about, like putting on paper, because I've never had to do it. But now I realize I'm not coaching all classes anymore. And what's happening a lot of times is I'll put a workout on paper, and on paper it'll look like this. And so you know what? I'll have Cody or Nick or someone run people through that. But the idea of what that workout is not in there. And because it's not set up as an actual circuit with built-in rest, people don't do it. So let's test that knowledge a little more now. Let's say we're doing a workout. And it's going to be a lap, ab rocker, or deadlifts, push press, and so let's say 5 of those, and 5 burpees. That's pretty intense, right? So my question is on there, let's say that we did want to push them completely all the way through this. Non-stop, no rest. How long would you have them rest after that round?
Like 2 minutes.
Is that?
Maybe like 2 minutes.
Good. The higher the intensity goes, we've already seen that, the longer the rest period is. Now, and especially depending on how many of these rep ranges, more than likely that weight is very, very high. Now, there are days that we can say, hey, I want you to push through. And intervals typically are built in, especially with strength training, because you either have it or you don't. But there's some days where I do want you to push through and I say, hey, I want you to work with muscular endurance today, things like that. But typically you'll notice on those days where there's a lot of reps, or there's like days where you do it 3-2-1 with 3 laps and some stuff, 2 times. The quality of the exercises is not crazy deadlifts, cleans, snatches. The intensity is relatively low, and it's more of maintaining pace. So what are some things, if you knew that was the pace of the workout, what are some cues you would use to coach a class that was more endurance? Go ahead, Cody.
This is more of a marathon style workout. Okay, pace yourself, go all the way through it, try and take as least amount of breaks as you can.
Good. Find a rhythm, find a pace. Those are things, those are words you hear in running, but there's a reason for that. Versus if it's let's go back to intervals. What are some things you want to cue in intervals? Or what are some things you can tell the class? I'll give you a good analogy now. I won't say any names here. Client gets done, or is halfway through the interval workout, and they're like, why are we resting so long? Well, I want to do something. What would you tell that client?
It's going to be properly rest, so that's what I'm looking for.
So that when you get to the next part, you can go even more intensely.
There we go. Yesterday, we spent half the workout resting. It was 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. Literally, half the workout was rest. Were you here yesterday? Okay. Everyone died yesterday, okay? Because the people that were here, they're pushing. Now, all of them had a different peak here, but they all pushed at a level. And I also grew people up to where it was a little bit of competition, so it was a little more fun. If someone's telling you at the end of 30 seconds that it's not tough, they're not pushing. So, here's some things where you can get sneaky. There's some things I do in the workouts and you might see this. I might say to someone, hey, let's say we're doing 30 seconds of push-ups. Guys, I want you to aim for a goal in that 30 seconds to get 30 push-ups. Realistically, most people aren't going to get that. Because it's on a time interval, I don't have to worry about overtraining over the reps. But now psychologically, I've given that person who's slacking and pacing through the time something to work toward. Oh, it was easy, how many did you get? Oh, you only got 15? Get 20 next time. Let's go. Now you're using it against them. Am I asking them to give me 30? And let's say we're doing 10 intervals, that's 300 push-ups. I don't want 300 push-ups. I want quality push-ups. But now you're finding ways to push that pace with them and get them to work at it. Same thing here. And I this happened numerous occasions. Workout, 5 times deadlift, 8 reps, and a lap. Person cruises through it, like 12 minutes, 11 minutes. Easiest workout I've ever done. What do you say as a coach? And they're just pretty much talking shit on your workout right there.
They're sprinting the lap versus just jogging through at one place.
Hey, you know what, that workout, maybe it was a little easy for you. Let's take a look at your book. What weight did you deadlift? What percentage of your max was it? And this is my own fault because I don't necessarily assign weights. I don't like to do that. And we're going to start working more on percentages, and you're going to see some cool stuff we're going to come out about later. But now if I say, hey, was it 85% of your max? Oh, well, no, I didn't want to go heavy because it would hurt my back. Well, you know what? A, your deadlift technique is going to work out to hurt your back. B, if you didn't do the workout I prescribed, don't bitch about the workout I prescribed. And that's what you're going to run into. For some reason, it's always the people that want to change and tweak the workouts that complain about the workouts. And I'll give you a great example. I have some veterans today who are very seasoned, been here for a long time. It's only 50 pull-ups. They do 5 rounds, spread out. That's not that much compared to some of our workouts. But you know what I did? I stood in that box and I watched their chins go over the bar. It's amazing how many of them weren't getting their chin over the bar every time. You know what? That's because it takes higher intensity to get that thing up. So, biggest thing today to focus on is know what the workout's coaching. Know the energy system you're working. Are we working intervals? Are we working for intensity? Is it strength? Because there are workouts that are just purely strength, and there might be some stuff fluffed in the middle to give it as a rest period, an active rest. But the biggest thing is you need to know that the best way to to burn calories and lose fat is going to come out of intervals. And so your goal is how do you help that client create the interval as a coach? And you know what? It might even be a lot more of holding your clients back and saying, hey, I want you to stop, take 5 deep breaths, do all 10 box jumps nonstop. Instead of saying, do a box jump, take a breath, do a box jump. But on the same hand, if someone's just started, do a box jump, take a breath, that could be an interval for them right there as well. So I want you guys to be aware of that. There's no right or wrong on this. If we're eventually going to try to progress and do some more stuff with heart rate, we're not there yet. But I want you guys to do that and just focus on that and pay attention when you see the program and say, what are we trying to work on there? What are we trying to do? And if it looks like 10 push-ups doesn't seem like much to you, and it's only 5 rounds and it's only 50 push-ups, I'm probably trying to get more core out of that than I am to get your chest condition. So, any questions on that? Go ahead, cut it.